Good afternoon, and I just want to thank everyone for attending today's event to honor Women in Apprenticeship and National Apprenticeship Week. My name is Connie Heitz, and I will be moderating today's webinar, and we're so excited to explore the opportunities that apprenticeships in careers in advanced manufacturing can offer, especially for women. Today, we'll hear from industry professionals and apprentices who will share their experiences and insights from the field. Before we begin, I just want to quickly recognize and thank our speakers. Janie Revere, a native of Three Creek, Idaho, was appointed by Governor Brad Little to the position of Director of the Idaho Department of Labor on January 7th, 2019, and then again reappointed in January of 2023. Janie is proud to lead more than 500 employees working every day to make a difference. The Department of Labor helps connect job seekers and Idaho employers, administers the unemployment insurance program, state wage and hour unit, research and analysis, and many other important functions. She's married to John Revere, the Director of External Engagement and Communications for Idaho National Laboratory. They have teenage twins and they live in Meridian, Idaho. Thank you, Janie, for joining us today. Erica Johnson serves as the Director of the Office of Apprenticeship, Region 6, and brings a wealth of experience from roles in both public and private sectors that focus on workforce development, business engagement, and community partnerships. She has championed apprenticeship programs and leads initiatives to strengthen workforce development and expand apprenticeship opportunities across diverse industries. With a focus in increasing representation and support for women in advanced manufacturing, Erica and her team work closely with industry partners and community stakeholders to create pathways to high-quality apprenticeships. Thank you, Erica. Kelly Jenkins Poltz is the Regional Administrator for the Western Region of the U.S. Department of Labor Women's Bureau. She leads programming and stakeholder engagements in 10 Pacific region states to build pathways for women into high-wage jobs, eliminates caregive penalties for women, raises pay for those in care economy, and prevents pay discrimination and gender-based violence and harassment in the world of work. Thank you, Kelly. And our final speaker, Gina Robison, serves as the Executive Director of Idaho Manufacturing Alliance, where she oversees IMA's operations, developing strategic partnerships, and representing the interests of all Idaho manufacturers. She has a proven track record of success with 5 years as the program supervisor of Apprenticeship Idaho and 14 years of nonprofit leadership. Most notably, she was one of only a handful of nonprofit leaders to sit on the National Women's Business Council, a nonpartisan federal advisory board providing key counsel to the President, Congress, and the U.S. Small Business Administration, and was also awarded the Nevada Small Business Administration Business Advocate Award. Gina has a passion for supporting business and a commitment to Idaho's manufacturing community. Thank you, Gina. And now please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Janie Revere.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on Women in Advanced Manufacturing in Idaho in honor of the 10th anniversary of National Apprenticeship Week. We're thrilled to have you all here, whether you're from industry, education, government, or simply exploring new career opportunities. Today, we're highlighting two important themes: the role of women in advanced manufacturing and the value of registered apprenticeships. Both are vital for building a strong, skilled workforce, and there's tremendous potential for women to lead in this growing industry. I'd like to thank our partners, the U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship, the Women's Bureau, Idaho Manufacturing Alliance, and our Apprenticeship Idaho team for their hard work in making this event possible. I encourage you to engage, ask questions, and think about how we can all support women in this field. Now I'm pleased to introduce Erica Johnson, Region 6 Director of the U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Janie. As mentioned, my name is Erica Johnson, Regional Director of the U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship. I'm a Black woman with Black hair, glasses, wearing a Black shirt and gray jacket. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am honored to be here with you today as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of National Apprenticeship Week. National Apprenticeship Week serves as a national recognition of the invaluable roles apprenticeship plays in developing our workforce and advancing communities. Here in Idaho, where innovation and hands-on skill building are the backbones of our industries, apprenticeship has a powerful tool for creating a stronger, more inclusive economy. With this year's theme, 10 years of engagement, expansion, and innovation, is in recognition in the fact that since NAW's inception, literally thousands of events have been allowed and happen across the country so that individuals such as yourself can learn about the life-changing impacts that registered apprenticeship has had and continues to be for so many job seekers and employers. With National Apprenticeship Week being a nationwide celebration for employers, apprentices, graduates, industry partners, community-based organizations on all levels, the intention is to host events to showcase the success and value of registered apprenticeship for strengthening our economy by developing a highly skilled workforce to meet industry needs, creating pathways for career seekers to catapult into good jobs, and advancing racial and gender equity. This year's theme reflects the transformative power of registered apprenticeship and its ability to bring together key national, regional, state, and local stakeholders across the country to meet critical workforce needs. Since NAW's inception in 2014, registered apprenticeship has gained increased recognition as a tool to create the highly skilled workforce necessary to modernize our country's infrastructure, build clean energy technologies, address cybersecurity threats, and build a stronger care economy, all while creating essential on-ramps for job seekers to enter robust career pathways. With this year, it presents us with a unique opportunity to spotlight the significant progress, not only made nationally as a whole, but within our individual regions, states, and in the great state of Idaho. Today, we gather with a special focus on women in advanced manufacturing, a field that is essential to Idaho's growth and prosperity. Advanced manufacturing is not just about production, it's about innovation, problem solving, and high-tech skill development. It's an industry where Idaho is seeing significant growth and where we have a chance to build a workforce that is truly reflective of the diversity of our communities. The impact of women entering and thriving in advanced manufacturing goes beyond individual success stories. When a woman gains a foothold in this field, her achievements ripple outward. It impacts her family, strengthens her community, and creates opportunity for future generations. These apprenticeships enable women to gain economic independence, stability, which in turn can break cycles of inequality, close wage gaps, and foster a more resilient Idaho workforce. With our focus on women in advanced manufacturing, it aligns with the national effort to make apprenticeships more accessible for everyone, regardless of gender, background, or career aspirations. As we work toward expanding apprenticeship opportunities, Idaho has an important role to play. By encouraging more inclusive apprenticeships, we are building a workforce that can meet the demands of a changing economy and establishing Idaho as a leader in progressive, sustainable workforce development. As we look towards the future, there is so much we can do to continue this momentum. For employers, I encourage you to create and promote apprenticeship opportunities that attract and support women. For educators and community leaders, we must work together to spread awareness about these opportunities and to inspire young women to see advanced manufacturing as a field where they can thrive. And for everyone here, remember that you are a part of this journey, which is a part of the future of Idaho's workforce. In closing, I like to emphasize that apprenticeships are not just about training, they're about transformation. They transform lives, families, industries, and our community. By ensuring that women have an equal place in Idaho's advanced manufacturing sector, we're investing in a future that's stronger, more inclusive, and better prepared for the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. I want to thank you all for your commitment. Thank you for all that you're doing in advancing this mission. Here's to the next decade of growth, opportunity, success for women in Idaho's advanced manufacturing sector. And with that, I would love to hand this off to my colleague, Kelly Jenkins-Poltz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. And I have to also just take a moment to say happy birthday and thank you for spending your birthday championing this issue. It just shows your dedication to this great topic.
Thank you.
My name is Kelly Jenkins Pulse. I serve as the Regional Administrator of the Department of Labor Women's Bureau. I'm a white woman with brown hair, glasses. I'm wearing a navy blue dress. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so delighted to join this conversation today. Manufacturing jobs are making a big comeback, and the future economic outlook for women in this field is fantastic. While women make up 48% of the U.S. civilian labor force, there's still many industries and occupations where they make up a minority of the workforce. Manufacturing and construction are two industries where they're not well represented, and the potential to expand their presence is great. Women comprise about 30% of all workers in the manufacturing industry and only 10% of the construction industry workforce. But the number of women hired in manufacturing occupations has risen in recent years, and this is a trend that we expect to continue as the industry grows. One of the biggest barriers for women to enter these fields is that they simply don't know much about these industries and they aren't aware of the pathways to enter them. Today, we hope to address that challenge and provide you with insights into the advantages of these fields and why they might be perfect for you. The Women in Manufacturing Association surveyed their members, and they found that another barrier that women often cited was the lack of mentoring and leadership positions for women. Only 1 in 4 leaders in this industry are female. Other industry leaders have cited the need for greater workplace flexibility, including job sharing, split shifts, or telework concerns, as well as the need for childcare. These are also cited as concerns for women that work in construction. To address those concerns, the Women's Bureau has been working collaboratively with other federal agencies, the Office of Apprenticeship, the Commerce Department, the Transportation Department, the Health and Human Services Department, so that we can expand supportive services and childcare options and help address the challenges that women find. Industry leaders also recognize that addressing these challenges is a key business imperative. The Department of Commerce has also launched the Women in Construction Framework, which works very closely with industry partners to improve the participation of women in the field. The framework calls to develop strong community partnerships to share opportunities with women, to create pathways such as apprenticeship to ease women's entry into the field, to offer these supportive services such as childcare, transportation, and other services to overcome barriers for women, and to develop healthy, safe, and respectful workplaces where women and everyone else can thrive. 18 firms have already signed on to the Women in Construction Framework and are making commitments to implement actions which will make the field even better for women. Another very attractive feature of both the manufacturing and construction industries is that they offer higher wages than fields where women are more likely to work. The Women's Bureau has been tracking women's wages and monitoring the gender pay gap for many years. And over time, the gender pay gap has narrowed significantly. But women who work full-time year-round still earn only about 83% of men's median wages on average. There are many factors that influence the gender pay gap, including the number of hours worked, the occupation and industry, the experience of the worker, and the education, skills, and training certifications that they hold. Median wages for women in manufacturing are 21% higher than those of median wages for women in all the other industries. And in construction, the wages are about 20% higher for women than median earnings for other occupations. Earning trends over the last 10 years have also been greatly impacted by things such as the Great Recession, the pandemic, the retirements of baby boomers, the entry of younger workers who are more diverse by race and ethnicity, and of course, significant changes in technology that have changed the nature of these jobs and the skills required to enter the highest paying jobs. The Institute for Women's Policy Research reports that the progress in eliminating the gender wage gap has slowed down substantially during recent decades, and the Women's Bureau's research also finds that women continue to be segregated by occupation and industry, and that has an outsized impact on their earnings. And that's why we work so hard to create greater opportunities for women in these fields in manufacturing, construction, technology. And it's why we advocate apprenticeship, which provides a paid job with work experience and training, an opportunity to increase wages as you build skill levels. The economic outlook for jobs in advanced manufacturing is strong. In 2022, manufacturing accounted for about 15% of economic output. That was the highest percentage of any other industry subsector. And in 2022, the Bureau of Labor Statistics estimated that over the next 10 years, there will be a projected annual average of 700,000 additional jobs in the manufacturing sector. The median annual wage of these projected jobs does depend on the occupation, but it ranges from $37,000 to over $107,000 a year. And the majority of these jobs just require a high school diploma or equivalent. So in addition to a great future outlook, higher wages, apprenticeship opportunity for easy entry, manufacturing jobs offer meaningful ways to advance our national security and strengthen our larger economy. This is a field where your work makes an important difference. It solves problems and it ensures a better future for everyone. I'm very enthusiastic about encouraging women to enter this thriving field, and I'm delighted to hand over the discussion to our next speaker, a leader whose work I have long admired, Gina Robeson. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and Erica and Jamie, thank you. And thank you to Idaho Department of Labor's Apprenticeship Idaho team for hosting this event. Fun fact, not only is this the 10th anniversary of National Apprenticeship Week, this year also marks the 10th anniversary of the founding of IMA, the Idaho Manufacturing Alliance, when our visionary founder and fellow woman in manufacturing, Sherry Johnson, saw a need for an organization to represent and support Idaho's manufacturing industry. Going back 10 years ago, when these two initiatives started, women represented only about 24% of Idaho's manufacturing workforce. Today, that figure has risen to approximately 32%. This increase may seem incremental, but it translates to thousands more women in Idaho actively participating in a field traditionally not pursued by women. In Idaho, manufacturing accounts for more than 179,000 jobs statewide and $21.5 billion in gross state product. As Kelly stated earlier, nationally, women now hold nearly 30% of manufacturing jobs, highlighting a trend that we are also seeing right here at home. This transformation can be attributed to several key factors. First, there's a growing recognition of the value that diversity brings to the workplace. Companies have begun to realize that diverse teams drive innovation, improve problem solving, and enhance productivity. A study found that companies with more diverse workforces are 15% more likely to outperform their peers. And women bring new perspectives, foster collaboration, and drive our industry forward. Today, we also see women leading manufacturing firms, innovating in engineering roles, and excelling in these highly skilled occupations. Their contributions are not just significant, they are essential. Research shows that companies with more women in leadership roles see 34% higher returns on equity compared to their peers. By bringing women into the fold, we not only empower Idahoans and their families, but also strengthen the manufacturing industry in Idaho as a whole. Another pivotal factor has been the concerted efforts of organizations like Idaho Manufacturing Alliance. 10 years ago, IMA started with only 20 members. Today, there are over 200 member companies and growing. Through IMA's initiatives, the organization has fostered a culture of connection, support, and promotion within the industry. IMA's fosters the growth of new talent into the industry through several different initiatives, providing leader-to-leader connections through site tours, educational programs, mentorship opportunities, and member supplier connections. IMA is also a sponsor of registered apprenticeship programs on behalf of industry employers and is driving talent pipeline work through our new EDGE program. In fact, IMA partners like Micron and NICA are forging the path nationally to develop semiconductor apprenticeships and other innovative manufacturing industry occupations. They've helped connect aspiring leaders, both male and female, with seasoned professionals, breaking down barriers and fostering a sense of community. Additionally, IMA partners with schools and vocational programs to promote STEM education and facilitate awareness of apprenticeship and other workforce opportunities in the industry. According to a recent survey, nearly 60% of women in manufacturing reported that mentorship programs like apprenticeship were crucial in their decision to pursue a career in the field. By inspiring the next generation and equipping them with the skills, mentorship, and resources they need, we are ensuring that students coming out of high school will continue to play an integral role in our industry. As we look ahead, we continue to drive this momentum towards rewarding careers in manufacturing by investing in training programs like apprenticeship and creating environments where all Idahoans can thrive. And thank you to our partners, USDOL, Women's Bureau, Idaho Department of Labor, for helping us drive this work forward. Thank you. Connie?
Thank you, Gina, and the rest of our speakers, Janie, Erica, and Kelly. Now I'd like to take some time to outline the rest of our session. We're going to do another introduction of our panelists today. We're going to do a short poll to get some of your thoughts in the audience, and then we'll move into our panel discussion. After our panel discussion, we'll have a question and answer session. So feel free to submit any questions that you have in the Q&A chat as we go along. Today, our panelists include professionals from the advanced manufacturing industry and registered apprenticeship industries. They have invaluable knowledge and experience to share with you today, so I hope you're ready to listen. Our first panelist, Ashley Lambson, currently serves as the Instrumentation Fabrication Specialist within the Nuclear Science and Technology Organization at INL, Idaho National Laboratory, where she supports engineering and R&D projects from the initial conceptual design stages, all the way through fabrication, assembly, and testing. Our next panelist, Tiona Marburger, is the staff product engineer at onsemi in Nampa, Idaho. Originally from Seattle, Washington, she began her academic career at a community college, earning her AA and then transferring to the University of Washington, where she completed her Bachelor of Science in Ceramic Engineering and Material Science. After taking a break from the workforce, and we're focusing on raising her family, she returned to the industry, joining Micron and later onsemi, where she continues her career as the staff product engineer. Robert Snyder, he serves as the Idaho State Director for the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship. He supports the growth and the advancement of registered apprenticeship in high-demand occupations, broadening the opportunities for all career seekers. Bob has worked with the Office of Apprenticeship since 2004, first as an apprenticeship training rep in Iowa, and in 2019 until present as the state director in Idaho. Hannah Gordon has been with Aviation Specialties Unlimited since 1999 and is passionate about strategy, marketing management, operations management, sales, and team building. Over the years, she has worked in various departments within the organization, gaining a broad range of experience. Currently, she is focused on strategy and dedicating her efforts helping ASU achieve its vision and goals. Hannah is involved in many aspects of the company's operations. And outside of her work, she has a 15-year-old daughter, Patience, and who's the light of her life, and she enjoys hiking and spending her time in the mountains. And then our final panelist, Maggie Baker, started her career in college at Palomar Community College and eventually graduated at Cal State University San Marcos. with a bachelor's degree in psychology with an emphasis in industrial organizational psychology and child development. In 2015, Maggie started her career in tech at a telecommunications company in talent acquisition, where she gained recruiting and talent management experience. Maggie started working in the semiconductor industry at Micron in 2021 as a recruiter, hiring Micron's technician talent, and is now the Idaho Registered Apprenticeship Program lead. Maggie has a true passion for people and enjoys connecting individuals to fulfill their careers in tech. Thank you for your time and your expertise today. So with that, let's get started on our first poll for the audience. If we could start looking at those results, get an idea on who's heard about apprenticeships. Okay, it looks like most of the group is pretty familiar with apprenticeships, so that's very good. And for those of you not too familiar, hopefully you gained some insights today. Thank you for participating in our first poll question, and we'll jump into our panelist discussion. So to the group, and we'll go ahead and start with Ashley and go around. How did you enter this field?
I began welding in high school, and I gained a passion for it. It was super fun, and I learned a ton. So then I jumped into a career in, I was still in high school actually, and I started working for a potato equipment company building potato equipment. After that, I joined the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union, which they specialized in plumbing, obviously, but pipe fitting and welding is what I went into the apprenticeship for. I kind of jumped around a little bit throughout my career, but always had welding as one of the key things that I was doing, no matter what job I was at, including the one that I currently have. It's just a different type of welding that I've gotten into. I was working for an electric motor repair company where I was still doing some welding, and then after that I applied for the INL, and I worked as an electromechanical technician. I had the electrical skills from the electric motor company, and we built a lot of electrical control cabinets and such. Learning how to run lathes and mills and all kinds of type of machinery, which brought me into my current position where we build instrumentation for reactor experiments, which is pretty cool. It's cool to see it from the design phase up to the fabrication and then moving forward. Most recently, I've started working, building or drafting the work instructions to build these experiments, and also mentoring some of the junior technicians that work beside me. That's where I'm at now.
Thank you. And Hannah, how did you enter into this field?
Thank you, Connie. Well, ironically, I was actually at Boise State pursuing my undergrad degree in production operations management. I had the opportunity to do an internship at Micron as well as work part-time at ASU. At that juncture, ASU did not actually produce anything. We bought everything and did resell and aircraft integrations and stuff like that. But over the years, we've been, as I kind of moved all around, we added manufacturing to our capabilities, and now we're producing advanced night vision technology here in Boise.
Thank you. Tiona, do you want to give us your insights on how you entered the field? Oh, it looks like you're on mute.
All right. So how did I enter the field? My growing up time, I wasn't a good student. So I did have somebody in my court, though, who told me, it was my mom. She said, you've always been really good at math. So I entered the field based on that belief, and I kind of had mentors in my life that helped guide me. but I think those were some of the guiding forces.
Thank you. Maggie?
So I didn't really have the traditional, avenue into the semiconductor industry. I don't come from a technical background, and I actually, had kind of low math and science scores in high school. So I honestly did not think a four-year degree was for me, and so I ended up going through the community college route. And eventually earned my four-year degree in psychology. And honestly, through my mentorship with my IO psych professor, that's really how I got my feet in tech. And she basically referred me to a tech company. And then I eventually landed a job at Micron, hiring technicians, actually several hundred technicians for our Boise fab. And so really feeling proud and honored to be here on this panel, considering my path wasn't very straightforward, but found my way into tech and in the industry. And so I'm here today to represent our apprenticeship pipeline, and that's kind of how I ended up here.
Thank you. And Bob, if you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into your role. Oh, and you're muted too, so.
Excuse me. Thank you. I got into my role basically when I got out of college. I went to work in private sector, and about 10 years into it, saw an ad in the Wall Street Journal for a Peace Corps trainer over in Europe. So I took that role and I worked with it. I worked overseas for 3 years in it. When I got done, I worked at the Navy College Center in Pensacola, Florida, and that was involved with training and verifying the education that servicemen got while they were in the Navy and the Marine Corps. I then went to work for the Office of Apprenticeship. This was something that fell right into my wheelhouse. I was lucky enough to grow up in a blue-collar neighborhood in Chicago, where if your dad wasn't a cop or a fireman, he was either working as a contractor or a tradesman. So at a very young age, I was introduced to apprenticeship and very much understood how it worked and the benefits of it, and seeing generations passing family contracting businesses down from one generation to the next. That's how I basically got into this. The advanced manufacturing end, I got a real good introduction to that when I was working in Iowa. I was lucky enough to work in Eastern Iowa, and up and down the Mississippi River in Eastern Iowa are a lot of small towns that are based around one big manufacturing plant, such as Archer Daniels Midland, the Hahn Group, John Deere, etc. So there was a lot of opportunity out there in advanced manufacturing, and all these folks in these companies basically, their human resources did surveys of their skilled trade occupations and found that they were going to be short. They were losing 50% of their workforce in the next 7 years to retirement. So I worked very closely with those companies and a lot of the mom and pop and medium sized machine and tooling shops in Eastern Iowa. And it was a tremendous experience, and it was really nice to watch kids come out of high school and 5 years later walk into a $50,000, $60,000 a year job. which is a lot higher than their counterparts with bachelor's degrees were making. And it's surely more than I was making when I got my bachelor's degree. I'll tell you that much. But that's how I got into this whole game. And then 5 years ago, I moved from Iowa out to Idaho and became the state director, and have been rolling with it for the last 5 years, and it's grown exponentially. And I look forward to the next 5 years.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to hear everyone's insights. Maybe what is one thing that you want a job seeker or a woman to know about working in these careers? And we'll go ahead and start with Hannah.
Thank you. For me, as far as working in the career of manufacturing as a woman specifically, I do think that a woman needs to really have a lot of grit, a lot of desire to continuously learn. You have to advocate for yourself, and you have to be proactive. You have to find the paths. You need to communicate with those around you, above you, outside of your organization, and make sure that you're your own biggest cheerleader.
Yes. Maggie, what's something you want our audience to know about this career?
Obviously not coming from a very technical background, and my role isn't very technical, but it is doable, and don't count yourself short. Is what I like to tell folks. If you're concerned about the financial burden of going back to school, or maybe don't have, a super technical background, registered apprenticeship programs are really designed to create pathways for individuals who might not have the financial means or traditional background to land a job in tech. I think just looking at all of your options and keeping an open mind, and again, believe in yourself, because you can do it.
Thank you. I think that's something really important that with this group especially, it's really inspirational to see the non-traditional way of entering the career. So thank you for highlighting that. And Tiona, do you want to give some insights on what it's like working in these careers?
Sure. So just adding on to what Maggie says, that you can do it. I think it's commonplace. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think it's commonplace to, for some women, they may hold back or think, oh, that's probably a career path for someone else, but it's not something I could tackle. I'm not a straight A student. You don't have to be. I wasn't. I've made it. And I would also say that sometimes it's not just how great are you academically or not. It's more that women possess, and I'll generalize just because this is my observation, that women possess the ability to be really good communicators, and possibly, I'll generalize, sometimes they're better at communication than their male counterparts. So I've had situations from my career where stepping into a coordination role is really beneficial to a team. So sometimes it's not just your grades, it's also your natural abilities to coordinate and be a networker.
Thank you. Ashley, do you have anything that you'd like to share about these careers, your career?
Sure. I mean, I can resonate with all of these women saying these wonderful things, and I truly do believe that women do bring a unique perspective to the skill of the craft, whatever it is. My welding teacher used to always say that women have a better hand-eye coordination, which makes them better at working small things with their hands. So that always came into perspective as welding. It's kind of an art, you're using and moving the material. So I think it's very doable for anybody to get into this type of field and no matter what, you can always find something. There's many different career paths through technology.
Thank you. And Bob, what's one thing that you want a job seeker women to know about working in these careers? Oh, you're on mute again.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
The one thing I would like to really emphasize, and this really drives home, is the one guy on this whole panel here. I can tell you with utmost certainty that my wife is much more mechanically inclined than I am. So don't feel that this is somehow a man's world and there's not a place for you in this. There's certainly tremendous opportunities out there for you in advanced manufacturing. And if you like working with your hands and you're the type of person that likes to learn hands-on, one of the real benefits of apprenticeship is if you're at work and you're having a problem with a particular task, you're going to be doing at least 3 hours of schooling every week. And that's a great time to walk up to that instructor and say, hey, this is what I'm doing at work. How can I do it better? And they can actually hands-on show you and demonstrate things to you that you can take back to the workplace the next day. So it's very hands-on. It's very mentor-driven, and don't ever sell yourself short. Please don't. There's plenty of room for all the young ladies out there in advanced manufacturing.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for your insights on these couple of questions and your roles in these careers. I want to gain some insight from the audience now and with our second poll. And so we'll get that launched. And I want, as you think about a career in advanced manufacturing, what are some concerns that may come to mind that may present a barrier, may prevent you from wanting to enter the career? Okay, it looks like most of our answers are around unsure about the skill requirement, unsure about what the career actually entails. So hopefully you'll gain some additional insights after today from our panelists, and that'll encourage you and empower you to think about a career in advanced manufacturing. So we'll turn it back to our panelists, and I'm hoping that you guys could share with us the significance of mentorship in supporting career advancement of that you've had, or that supports women and professionals in this field. And Tiona, why don't we start with you this time?
So for me, mentorship has been huge. So my dad was my biggest mentor, probably, because he was an electrochemist at Boeing. So, and he taught me, like, always look up to your elders. And so he was great. And then because I was just raised that way, I think that my first, I did an internship. So my first manager at the internship company, she became a real mentor for me also. And then the third one that I think of is a woman who was hired to train me how to make electrode material for capacitors. And, you know, she just really, you know, I'd just say, when you see people that do inspire you, make sure you're willing to, like, ask them questions, be bold and say, what do you like about your job? What don't you like? Because I think they'll be willing to tell you, and you can collect mentors that way by asking questions.
Thank you. Ashley, would you share with us some mentorship significance, if you've had a mentor, or what the significance of mentorship means to you?
I think mentorship is essential. I'm pretty fortunate. I've had many very good mentors throughout my career. And a lot of times they've said to me that I have helped them as well, because I would be the first woman in these positions. And so they weren't really sure how to work with me. But then once we got that relationship and learning, it really expanded the knowledge that they were willing to share. So, you know, these fields that we're working in are predominantly male. But now I am a mentor myself and two male people. So it's been kind of a flip-flop. So it's actually very awesome to see.
Thank you. Maggie, do you want to give us some of your perspective on what mentorship means?
Yes. So my strong belief is that you can learn something from anybody. And so I think, you know, a lot of companies, they do have mentorship programs. I know Micron does as well, which we do encourage our apprentices to take advantage of. But you know, mentors come in all shapes and sizes. They don't have to be necessarily even in the industry. And so I think keeping an open mind and just curiosity and wanting to learn from others, I think is key.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Bob and then Hannah. Bob, what could you share with us about the significance of mentorship? I know you touched on it in our previous question, but is there anything you want to add?
Yeah. One thing I would add to that is always, whether you're an apprentice or you're a journey worker, always be willing to learn. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of experience. You know, we were talking about Micron and such. There's people with a ton of experience out there, and you want to pick their brain constantly. And life, you know, as an apprentice doesn't end once you get your journey license. The learning part goes on and on and on and on. And that knowledge gets passed on from yourselves to the next generation.
Thank you. And Hannah.
So everybody has said such great things and they mirror a lot of what I've said. So I'm going to try to take a little bit different approach on the fly. So I've collected mentors, as Tiona said, and I really like that, and that you can learn anything from anybody, being open, self-reflection. So, but at the end of the day, I think that mentorship and knowing that a mentor can be anywhere, anytime. And so if I was speaking to somebody that was wanting a mentor and how important they can be, the first step is really knowing where you want to grow. What are you interested in? Asking those questions and really pursuing it. Yeah, your mentor can be anybody inside your company, outside your company. It can be, or mentor can honestly, I've had experiences where I would consider an adversary a mentor, where they were my biggest lesson in learning and growth because they were such a challenge for me to overcome. And I grew the most in navigating that. And mentorship can be as simple as just somebody willing to give you the opportunity and cheerleading you along your way while you have the tenacity and maybe just tapping you from the side when you kind of bump up against the curb. Okay, let's just go this way. So for me, that's kind of, I guess, my different spin on mentorship. So there you go.
Thank you. And you know, apprenticeship is built on receiving support and guidance from a mentor, and it's super important. And I'm so thankful that you guys were able to share some insights on mentorship. And so our third poll question for the audience is around mentorship and how important they believe mentorship is for programs and for women or professionals looking to pursue the industry. It should just be a quick question, so we'll just take a minute and to answer, and then we'll jump into the results. All right, and if we could start seeing some of those results. Extremely important. That's great. I think we're all on the same page there with mentorship. So we'll jump into that into our next panel question, and today we're recognizing not only apprenticeship, but we're recognizing the impact of women and that in the workforce. So I'd like to hear from all of you. What's one piece of advice that you were given before you considered a job in manufacturing, or one piece of advice that you'd like to give to a young woman or a professional or career seeker who's considering a job in advanced manufacturing? And I think we'll start with Bob this time.
Okay, then. And my microphone's even on this time. No, I think the biggest trait you have to have, and I get back to this and I touched on it earlier, is you have to enjoy working with your hands. It's so important. And advanced manufacturing, that work is very precise. You know, if you're working as a tool and die maker, and you're making something, it has to be to spec. And you know, it's having a very logical mind and some math skills are very helpful. But again, you more than anything else, you have to be self-motivated and you have to be willing to work with your hands.
Thank you. And Maggie, what's one piece of advice that you would offer?
Ooh, it's hard to pick just one. But I think I'll go back to something that actually my IO Psych professor would kind of preach to me, is really believe in yourself and value what you bring to the table. Your voice and experience matters. You might not have, the traditional education or experience, but you do add value. And so what advice I would give is know your worth and believe in yourself.
Thank you. Hannah, do you have some advice for us?
Yeah, I would say, for women specifically, knowing, gender bias is still there. We continue to overcome it and work to overcome it and stuff like that. But really accepting that and honoring the differences between the genders, honoring that the way a woman might approach a problem might be a little different than the way a man approaches the problem, and that provides a unique perspective that maybe isn't already there. I believe this is my own generalization and bias, of course, but I believe that women have a great skill to look at problems from a different perspective and come at them a little bit differently than traditional. Whether you're talking mechatronics and robotics and automation, and we tease about this next generation being the lazy generation. Well, lazy is amazing. If you can figure out how to make a computer do the job of two people, that's amazing. And know that as a woman, honor your differences and exploit them. Understand that we might look at it differently, but that's different can be really an amazing thing.
Thank you. That's very inspirational. I know the newer generations do get a lot of grief, but we also have a lot of technology on our side, so it's a win-win, I think, for us. Ashley, do you have any advice that you'd like to offer or that you've been given?
Yeah, I mean, these ladies all, of course, have great points. I just want to say, to add on to that, don't be afraid to take on new challenges or something that's challenging that might look way too hard for you. But if you take it on and you start, challenging yourself, it'll only help you in the future. And be confident in the skills that you have, just take it on and do it.
Thank you. And Tiona?
So I guess my advice would be, I would categorize internships the same as apprenticeships. Would we all agree? They're both early on opportunities to work with maybe not as much experience. So my advice would be definitely consider internships or apprenticeships. Just get out there and try it, because it will give you a better resume versus somebody trying to get a position without that experience. So it sets you apart. When I was in college, I did 2 internships, and it made it so that I didn't graduate as fast as other people. It took me 6 years to get my 4-year degree, but I came out and I was offered a job at one of those internships, just got hired back. So as a full-time engineer. So do internships. And I really liked what was said earlier about your mentors can be anyone, and that it can even be an adversary. I didn't ever think of it that way, but so true. So just think of who you think is achieving in your life and who inspires you. And those can be mentors for you.
Thank you. I know we often see barriers for women in the workforce, so I think everything that we're talking about today, from mentorship, advice that you've been given, entering into the workforce in a non-traditional way, is so important for people who are looking to shift their career, people who don't know where to start, people who may not want to go to college. So I just really appreciate all of your insights today. And we have one final poll question for our audience. And that is, what do you think is the biggest barrier for women or professionals entering the advanced manufacturing industry? Okay, it looks like the biggest answer was lack of awareness about career opportunities. Thank you for your answers, and I really hope that the audience today has learned about all of the different career pathways and opportunities out there in this industry. It's not that there's a lack of opportunities. You just have to get yourself out there and find them. So with that, we'll move on to our last panel question. And it's centered more around apprenticeship. So the USDOL emphasizes that apprenticeships are for anyone, whether they're entry level, looking to change career pathways, or looking to get back into the workforce. What do you all think are some qualities that help people thrive in advanced manufacturing, and what would you encourage them to consider before taking on an apprenticeship? Let's start with Tiona on this one.
So what I see is that curiosity and ability to be open, ability to admit that you don't know the answer and ask questions. Those are some of the things that help you figure things out, because as long as you can keep asking questions, you'll find a path.
Thank you. Bob, do you want to provide any insights on what qualities folks should have, or any considerations that they need to make before entering an apprenticeship?
Sure. But I'd like to touch on something that was mentioned a little earlier about this, for all you young ladies out there in our audience. Take it from somebody who's north of 50 years old. The saying that this generation is lazy has been going on for time immemorial. Don't buy into that lie. Believe me, the next generation is going to hear that. The generation after that is going to hear it. So don't for a second buy into that. Okay. As far as opportunities and what skills you'll need, I would say more than anything else, keep a very open mind. Know that there are people out there to assist you. I noticed that a lot of people in this last poll mentioned that, you know, the lack of knowledge of opportunities out there. Call me, email me, Snyder.Robert@dol.gov. I would love to meet and talk to any of you out there. And trust me, advanced manufacturing is a terrific occupation. And, you know, we at the DOL, what apprenticeship is about at the end of the day is getting somebody the skills that they can hang their hat on and provide medium, mid-level or middle-class income or better throughout their lifetime if built on it. That's what we're all about. And you just got to believe in yourself. And please, again, if anyone out there is looking where, you know, specific advice about where to go or how to get into advanced manufacturing, please don't hesitate to contact me.
Thanks, Bob. Ashley, do you want to share any qualities that you think people would need for advanced manufacturing and maybe some considerations that they should think about before entering an apprenticeship?
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the big ones are, you know, attention to detail, your strong work ethic, and I think Hannah said it earlier, a little bit of grit. You know, we are in a man's world, and you just got to be tough enough to handle the pressure. And I know a lot of people get nervous about that, but I've worked with a lot of good dudes. Sorry to say dudes, but a lot of good friends, and I've learned from them. They've learned from me, and it's just the same. You know, they consider you as just another coworker. You know, it's nothing new to them. It might be at first. You know, they're not like, oh, I don't know how to work with a woman, but honestly, it works all in its own. And couple of things to think about before entering an apprenticeship is, you know, understand what the work is, you know, what you are required to do, and consider long-term goals. You know, where do you want to be? And maybe make sure it aligns with your interests. You don't want to be stuck in a position that you're not interested in. So just keep those.
Thank you. Hannah, do you want to share your insights?
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know if everybody else, but I know that my mom always told me I could do anything and I could be anything I wanted to be. But I also know that I have a lot of self-limiting thoughts in my head. And so whether you can or you can't is all, you know, you say you can or you say you can't, you're right, because it's all a mindset. So even in looking, I mean, how many times have you scrolled through a job board and you're like, ooh, I can't do that. And you just keep scrolling. Know that you can if you put your mind to it. You absolutely 100% can. It's all the things that everybody has said, and then just knowing don't get in your own way. You know, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to overcome it, right? So as far as getting into an apprenticeship, and I will say slash internship, I agree that having the clear expectations, knowing what you're getting into, making sure that you have check-ins along the way, making sure that you're meeting expectations and you know their expectations, and set goals. The last thing, because I had a rough internship experience, I will say. And the one for me is, you know, I was this headstrong person that had all these big ideas. And know that sometimes when you present those big ideas, your employer's not ready for it. They're not open to it, but don't be shut down by that. It's okay. You can have those big ideas even if somebody isn't ready for them yet.
Thank you. And Maggie, what are some qualities that help people thrive in this industry, and what would you encourage them before considering an apprenticeship?
So I'm going to put my recruiter hat on here. You know, in terms of qualities, you know, we're really looking for, I think just in general in manufacturing, being a team player is very imperative. Your work has an impact down the line, and you probably don't realize how big of an impact your work has. So being able to communicate and work well with others is very important. Also, having a curious mindset, wanting to problem solve, troubleshooting. I know a lot of times you're working on very large equipment that might be fairly expensive, and it can be kind of intimidating. But I think, you know, having a curious mindset, as well as not being afraid to kind of roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty, if you will, I think is some of the qualities that employers in advanced manufacturing are looking for. And then also, if you're new to this industry and applying to positions, you're looking at, job postings, you're like, oh, I don't have like half of these skills. That's okay. Apply anyways. That's what I like to say. Obviously, yes, research the company. That's very helpful. Usually a quick Google search, looking at their, employer webpage, learning as much as you can about, the employer and what kind of products they manufacture. It's very quick, easy, maybe a 10-minute search on Google. And then I would say, again, believe in yourself and don't discount your experience just because it's not relevant or industry specific. You might be surprised if you do oil changes on your cars. That could be very valuable. That tells us employers in manufacturing that you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, if you will, and you know how to work with hand tools. So you might be surprised what you have already to bring to the table.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, that wraps up our panel discussion and our questions. I just want to say thank you to all of you, our speakers and our panelists for sharing their insights and knowledge about this industry and apprenticeship. We do have some time for Q&A, so if you, the audience, has any questions, please feel free to take some time and drop them into the chat, and we can address them as they come in with the time that we have left. We don't have the capability to take anybody off of mute, so you can't ask questions. So if you have a question, take some time and drop them in the Q&A, and we can have our guests to answer them. And while we're waiting for some questions, was there anything from our speakers or our panelists that you want to add in or provide additional insights? Our speakers, Gina, Janie, Erica, Kelly, I know you guys have some broader experience and knowledge, but is there anything else that you'd like to share or?
Yeah, I'd be happy to share some things. So thank you, panelists. Great insights, super inspiring. And just to jump off from some of the things said about curiosity and don't be afraid to ask. There's a lot of resources that people are just not aware of that are available to anyone through Idaho Department of Labor, Bob, you gave your email address. Everybody take advantage of that. Idaho Manufacturing Alliance, Women's Bureau. There's so much more. Your high school counselors, teachers, they're all working together with organizations to make sure we're trying to get the word out about the career opportunities and what the careers entail. Also, to some of the points about and the question about not knowing enough about how to get into the industry, what's it look like? There's a lot of opportunities to kind of put your toe in the water, so to speak. You don't have to make a commitment to an apprenticeship right at the beginning. You can start working with your school counselor or Department of Labor on a job shadow or a work experience or an on-the-job training. That can lead into an internship where you're getting that experience, maybe some pay, which can then lead into an apprenticeship, which is full-time, it's employment. It's a real job with apprenticeship. And you're making a wage and you're learning at the same time. And so it's sometimes that's a big commitment, right? To go into a career field, you really have no idea what you're doing. And all of a sudden you've got the big job. And so sometimes people need to start with baby steps And there's a lot of opportunities for that. So anyway, I wanted to let everyone know about that.
Thanks, Gina. And we did get some questions in the chat, so we can start asking those to the group. Our first question, what are your thoughts about apprenticeships at an older age? Anybody can take this question on. I know I do. Anybody can do an apprenticeship. It's not for youth, it's not for student, it's for anybody 16 and older who wants to change their career, start their career. Anybody can join an apprenticeship. It's an amazing opportunity. And if anybody wants to add to that, please feel free.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, Erica.
No, go ahead, Maggie.
Okay. I think of my mom actually. She was a hairdresser for 20 years, then taught and coached tennis, and eventually is now a assistant store director for Albertsons. And she just made that career change. Gosh, I want to say she was 56 when she made that shift. And so even at Micron, we have apprentices that range, from 18 years of age, all the way up to mid 40s. And so I think if you can afford it and, you're supported by your family, and even if not, I think you'd be surprised about the opportunities that apprenticeships can provide, and just upskilling. And so I think don't be afraid to make a change, because it's never too late.
Thanks, Maggie. Erica, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to hear from your example, Maggie, and speaking of your mom, starting an apprenticeship based on what you said, Connie, at any age can be incredibly empowering and beneficial. I think when I think about older workers, I think about workers who have so many transferable skills based upon all of the industries that they have already worked in. I also think about a great level of career resistance as well, too, and resilience based upon what you stated in regards to your mom, Maggie. She already worked in one position and tried something else. That takes a lot of effort. And I think in terms of looking at, the diversity of a workforce, having an older worker in an apprenticeship has such a positive impact on the workplace. We spoke earlier about mentorship and what that looks like. Having that older apprentice there, that could be so impactful for a younger apprentice as well, too. So it just has so many benefits. And I think it also changes the just perceptions on available opportunities and who has access to opportunities, because you can access them at any age.
Thank you. And our next question is from a career coordinator at Elevate Academy in Nampa. What next steps would you recommend for students interested in apprenticeships in trades and advanced manufacturing? And I'm thinking this one might be a good question for maybe Maggie again, from the recruitment perspective. Gina, Janie, your perspective from being the director of labor. If you guys could just provide some insights there. We'll start with Maggie.
I'm so sorry, Connie. Do you mind repeating the question? I just want to make sure I'm answering
Yeah,
it.
Absolutely. Let me find it really quick. What next steps would you recommend for students interested in an apprenticeship?
So if we're referencing high school students, there's a lot of CTE programs. One that comes specifically to mind for me is D-Tech, which I believe they offer a mechatronics program. If that's not available at your school, showing an interest in anything mechanical, electrical, I think could really benefit you. Maybe even working or taking a auto mechanic class, things of that nature could definitely put you at an advantage.
Thank you. And Janie, do you have any insights here?
Yeah, so Department of Labor has offices located across the state. If you go to labor.idaho.gov, you can find an office listing and find a location near you. We have career planners located in each of those offices, and they can help you work through the help youth, but adults. We're here to help anyone that needs help connecting to a job. And so we can help you work through the see what you're interested in and what available apprenticeship opportunities there are in your area.
Thank you. And Gina, did you want to add anything as being a group sponsor in advanced manufacturing?
Absolutely, thanks. So there's a program called forgingfuturesidaho.org. I would encourage students of any age to check that out. There's a lot of resources available there. And then, as Maggie said and Janie said, CTE programs, school counselor, and Idaho Department of Labor. There's a lot of resources they have, and a lot of times if they don't have the services for you, they're connected to organizations that do.
Thank you. And just to go off of that, I want the audience to know we will have a resource directory available post webinar. So all of these resources that our speakers and panelists are talking about will be available to you after the webinar. So don't worry about writing everything down quickly if you can't get it get it down. We'll make sure that you have the connection to those resources. Our next question is for the panelists. How do you help spread the word on your experiences with others on opportunities for women in apprenticeships and within advanced manufacturing / technology? And let's hear from Hannah or Ashley or Tiona.
I guess for any national lab career, they have their websites up and they discuss all the opportunities for any opportunity for a career at the INL. I know that a lot of the colleges, even if it's a technical college, they have a lot of opportunities that way as well.
Thank you. Hannah?
You know, it's things like this to me is spreading the word, you know, participate in your community and the community events and things like that that are available. Go to trade shows, ask questions, basically be an advocate. That's kind of my approach.
Tiona?
Well, I'll just do a shameless plug. So OnSemi is in Napa, and we have internships and every year. So reach out to Human Resources because we'd love to have somebody in that position fill those spots.
Thank you. And another question for the panel. What does a typical day look like for someone in advanced manufacturing? And any one of you can start. So who wants to share their day-to-day, feel free.
Well, it's not my day to day, but I will talk anymore, but I will talk about our floor. So ASU is a small company, right? So we're actually a really high mix, low volume organization. So a typical day for our manufacturing technicians might be working on 3 or 4 lines. It might be troubleshooting a quality issue. Generally speaking, they'll start their shift, you know, with some lean principles. That's always a really great workshop of really understanding how to keep your workspace clean and safe and all of those things. And then, you know, there's a production board watching metrics, making sure that you're contributing to the success of your company.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share their day-to-day?
I guess I could share. So a technician at the INL, I guess a day-to-day would be fabricating instruments for experiments. Like a lot of these experiments, they're just pieces of a puzzle that you're putting together basically with different types of instrumentation that determine or monitor pressure, temperature, that type of thing. And then maintaining our equipment is another thing that technicians do as well. So we have equipment from laser welders to CT machines, other high level equipment like E-beam welders and such, so that all need maintenance. That's kind of a typical day.
And I can give a little bit of info on what some of our technicians experience. Usually when they come onto shift, they have pass down, which basically they connect with the previous shift, and they kind of give them a download of all the things that maybe they've worked on, or maybe new tools that may have gone down overnight that need to be worked on. And then a lot of times, especially our apprentices, will be partnered with, a experienced technician, and they'll walk through some preventative maintenance on the various tools in the fab.
Thank you. And we have one last question, and Kelly, I think you'd be the perfect person to answer this here. We have an audience member who is a mom in her 30s, a minority, and has her bachelor's in science, in health science, and is curious if she would qualify for anything. She's looking to get back into the workforce since being a stay-at-home mom, and was sort of discouraged while in college by one of her professors who told her that she wasn't smart enough, and that she should go to community college. So do we have any insights for her and uplifting words of that we could share with her? Kelly, I think you'd be great to answer this question. Oh, it looks like you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Connie, and thank you so much to the writer. Is it Aldijana for raising this this important issue? One, you've already proven your professor wrong, and you've already taken the wonderful advice that Hannah shared about overcoming adversity of people that challenge you. So I love that you're already mentoring yourself and speaking up for yourself and, pursuing your path. I think the resources that were shared about how people could learn about this from high school really apply to anyone at any age. Certainly the website that Gina mentioned, I think, is a great place to start looking. And then, just recognize that being a mom is a whole skill set in itself. Everything from time management to responsibility to multitasking to, safety. I mean, you already have a lot of skills in just managing your family and your household that are soft skills that employers are looking for. And so think about sharing some of those experiences in interviews or even in cover letters about the strong skills that you have through your lived experience of, managing all of those important details. And, also keep in mind that as you're, applying for work, that employers cannot ask you about, your marital status or your, number of children you have, any of those things. And if you do get those kind of questions, you just politely turn the question back to the person asking and say, I'm really surprised to hear you ask that question. Can you tell me how that might be relevant to the job? And then if, they hem and haw and say, well, I'm, excuse me if I'm getting this wrong, but, those are issues that are not legal to inquire about. So, I politely decline, so there are polite ways of getting around those kind of issues. If you start feeling that kind of discrimination of people asking you about, time gaps and were you a working mom? One way to, prepare for that is to be ready to talk about the number of skills that you gained during any kind of a career break like that you would bring, to the workforce. But I think you're in a great position to start looking at these careers. I appreciate so much that you found our webinar today, and I hope the amazing resources that were shared really help you take the next step. Thank you.
And I see Bob's hand is up, and I don't know if you wanted to add to what Kelly said or. Okay. I think he said, I don't want my hand up. You're on mute too, so don't worry about that. Well, we don't have any more questions in the chat. we can wait just a couple more minutes if anybody else would want to add on to this question or any of the other questions that we had come into the chat. I want to give our speakers and panelists a chance to add any last minute thoughts.
Just one kind of relevant to the question, and then also something that Hannah said about bias. So bias exists everywhere. We all have it. But when we're talking about bias towards women or against women in the workplace, it's not, just know that it's not just what you feel or your insecurities. There's actually scientific research about this. And there's a book. So there's a really fun little book that explains sometimes about the perspective that women bring to the workplace that is different and valuable. And it's men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti. And it explains the way our brains work neurologically, and it honors the differences as to the way we see things and we approach problems and we solve problems. And when we can collaborate and everyone from their either waffle brain or spaghetti brain are trying to solve a problem, you go farther, you reach better innovations and solutions. So please don't discount yourself due to someone else's perspective. You have a lot to offer.
Thank you, Gina. And I just want to mention Maggie did let our audience member know that they have a return to work program at Micron. So if there's anyone else in the audience who is looking to get back into work or anything like that, we'll make sure that Maggie's resources and information is available to you as well. And Maggie, if you want to add anything onto that, please feel free.
Yeah, so it's, obviously definitely geared towards the women population, but it's not just limited to women. So if you know any males that are, coming back from a break, we potentially have a program for them or position here at Micron. So definitely reach out.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined today and our panelists and our speakers. We only have a couple minutes, so I'll make sure to wrap up. I really hope that today's discussion was informative and inspiring. If you have any additional questions or if you'd like more information about apprenticeships or careers in advanced manufacturing, please reach out to any one of us. Please, and also be on the lookout for a follow-up email that will include a recording of today's webinar and a short survey. We would really love to hear your feedback, maybe what we could do next year to honor National Apprenticeship Week. And I really hope you guys all have a great rest of your day and enjoy the holidays. With that, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.